If I had a title, it might be something like Meditation and Activism, because I'm going to go in a direction this morning. Um, I'm just going to use that as my provisional title for now, because it's very tempting. It's almost irresistible when we're with others to put out our political views. Now, I say that because this is my experience, is that wherever people are gathered, like two people, three people, or a group, unless there's a rule against it, an explicit rule, we're not going to talk about politics or religion, um, somebody brings it up. It's just all around me at this time. And I would just imagine that I'm not alone. And it's a scary time to be a politician, to be an academic, to be an educator, a journalist, a medical professional. Um, we held a retreat last year. I can't believe it's almost a year now, in November, after the election retreat. And we knew at that time that the outcome would deeply shape our lives, and that the danger that we felt at that time wouldn't end after the election. And our experience, our views, um, whatever direction that we've gone through this 8 months, um, these views matter. They really hit home, because we easily feel, especially as meditators, I think as we develop a sensitivity to our inner world, we feel the horrors of the world, the dukkha, the violence, um, and when we see it in neon lights, in a lot of different ways that we read or experience, hear the news, um, really can hurt. So since the election, I've cultivated some other Dharma resources. And one of these resources that it grew out of the secular Buddhist network, where Nelly and I are regular contributors to their Dharma articles. And they have a lot of different traditions come together where you can hear different viewpoints about how we bring our practice into this secular life, the life we live now. And this resource is called the Buddhist Coalition for Democracy. And they represent Buddhist traditions, across the board, and many different political leanings, radical, progressive, liberal, centrist, conservative, libertarian. That's their description of themselves on their website. But they are united by a commitment to democracy and Dharma practice. And one of the central tenets that I found interesting, they didn't say it directly, but I've heard this by going to their meetings, is that if you look at the Buddhists who are practicing the Eightfold Path, that 4 of the Eightfold Path are action items. They're actually factors that bring the internal development of mindfulness, of our intentions, of our concentration, that bring those out into the world. So we're looking at things like speech and effort, livelihood, and action is one. And in their description, again, of themselves, this comes from many traditions, and they wrote a kind of, say, a mission on their homepage. Is they say, as Buddhists, we are called to respond, to witness, and resist the destructions of norms and institutions that sustain free societies. So they invited me to teach a weekly meditation group for the activists, for this Buddhist coalition. And I wrote it up calling it Meditation and Activism. Now, I hadn't looked up the word activism. I was using it very broadly. And that's one of our tenets. You look up words before you use them. And I noticed that in their language, they use a lot of different phrases, such as engaged social action, liberation and justice work, compassion in action, and many other phrases. And so I'm going to learn a lot more from leading this group. You all will be invited. I'll send something out, and I hope you'll drop in at some point. But there's a wide range of the ways people talk about being involved in the world now as Buddhists, as people who practice meditation, who actually study Buddhism. Um, so I'm giving them a group which kind of feels very similar to the DOM. Like, we've been doing this for how long? It feels really comfortable to me. So I modeled the group, it's an hour group, after our format here. And the only thing that I did was I put in a little bit shorter time for meditation, um, and I added in some time at the end for discussion so that people could actually come in and talk a little bit more about what they're doing, and what they're calling activism or engaged social action or liberation and justice work. So I feel like supporting and facilitating this group will be a bit tricky for me. This will be new. It's not something I had on my goals as a Dharma teacher. And I feel like as a Dharma teacher, this is tricky and edgy work to talk about. And so therefore, I'm going in more with this idea that it will be an experiment. We'll see how it goes. And in some ways, I'd be learning how to come together with people, introducing them to this approach is a reflective meditation light, I would say, even. But really asking people to be honest with themselves and to bring their actions into their meditation sittings. This will be a new direction for some people. And I say it this way, you're invited to bring thoughts and feelings and experiences of activism into your meditation practice, holding them with kindness and curiosity. And I also do mention that, you may discern that it's not a right time to do that for yourself. And if so, that you can use any other practice that's right for you in the moment. And again, I've said these words many times in our groups, but to do this with a different group, I really have been thinking consciously about how I want to present it and how it will be taken, and being open to the feedback that people in different traditions will have when they're doing a reflective meditation practice. So I'm going into it remembering, this is something I think we all remember, that we won't all be on the same page politically, or even our inner world, our thoughts and feelings about the political situation, that we carry different sensitivities to the news and to politics, but that we can support each other. Meditation actually can regulate our nervous system together. And that's what I found, that it's actually something palpable when we start to explore something more deeply together in a group of people with some similar intentions. And that even online, we can feel that goodwill, that generosity, the qualities of that we hope we're developing within Buddhist practice. We can feel them amongst ourselves. I'm going to end here for today. We will do our practice together.